Hello, we are here with Fulmineos of multiple projects and we're going to talk a bit about Timișoara and black metal. How are you today?
Very good, actually, yeah. I'm quite a little bit exhausted because we are working in a studio and just came from some recording sessions, but other than that, it's okay.
Good. What are you recording right now?
The new album of Ordinul Negru.
Okay.
There are a lot of years. I think in 2018 we released the last full-length album, so it's time to do it again. So in the beginning of the next year, the album hopefully will be ready so that we can release it.
All right. You did release a couple of EPs since then.
Too. Yeah.
What led to the decision of not combining them into a full release?
We felt that those songs we composed didn't fit together in one concept. They were somehow not related to one another, and when we like to have an album, it has to have sort of a unity concept from start to finish, to have an idea, a general idea that we somehow developed through the songs. But this time, when we composed those actually 3 songs from Nebuisa, the first EP, we felt that this is not coming together, so we said, okay, let's release them on a separate ways. And then the 4th song added was a re-recording of an older song that we played live, but it was too long, around 20 minutes actually. So we felt that we have to have a shortened version because we really liked the song and we wanted to perform it live, so that's why we shortened and we had that version. So those were the 4th songs. And then on the last EP, it's only 1 song that is over 20 minutes long. And we again, it was one shot from start to finish, so we felt that it has to be a single release. Didn't fit in the overall concept that we were developing now with the new album.
All right, and what are you developing now with the new album?
There will be 6 songs, more in maybe atmospheric, but I don't think it's the right word. Maybe more in a cosmical way, more spiritual way, intricate, with many progressive parts. We went further into black metal. It's funny because there are 2 things. One, what we listen at home, which is the 90s regular black metal, Emperor, Satirico, and you name it, and Norwegian and first wave of Greek black metal, or there are also some bands from Czech Republic or Hungarian. But what we want to play, it's something modern and new, maybe influenced not that much from the nowadays scene of black metal, but of the musical scene more, the production wise. We are sort of influenced not by metal bands, mainstream bands, or mainstream with a catch.
Give me some examples.
Well, Björk, St. Vincent, for example.
Yeah, I just saw Björk in Krakow last month. It was amazing. I can tell why that would be an influence to a black metal band.
Yeah. So Sigur Rós, maybe another Icelandic band. So we look mainly to the production and how the artist is communicating and telling the whole concept basically through songs, sound, clothes, graphics, visuals, everything.
Right.
So
I remember your last concert opening for Dumnezeu. You had visuals by Alexandru Daș.
Yes.
From Valorin.
Yeah, and we were fortunate enough to be here in Timișoara to do them like live. So VJing, it's the first time actually we succeeded doing that. And hopefully we will also do that in the future when we want to release the next album in a series of live concerts next year.
Was any new material played at that show?
One song, yeah.
Alright.
We tend to test, to throw a little bit the new songs. For example, we had a mini tour in the beginning of summer, and we also played 2 new songs, then just hidden in the well-known songs, in order to test a little bit how the people's reaction.
Right. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Do you remember a moment or a musician that you listened to at a very young age that made you think, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to make music.
Wow. There were some. I listened music at a really young age because I've been fortunate enough that my parents listened a lot of music in the house.
What did they listen to?
My father was into psychedelia, like Pink Floyd, Jefferson Airplane, a little bit of Black Sabbath and Deep Purple, but mainly atmospherical bands. And my mother was more into 80s glam rock, like Poison and Bon Jovi and stuff like that. That was in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s.
I can tell the influence Bon Jovi has on your music.
Yeah, so, but then I started to listen more like, early Guns N' Roses and what was that, Metallica, Iron Maiden, stuff like that. But until when I started around 93, 94 to just play around with my friends to start learning some instruments. But the first time when I really had that image sent to me, like this is what I want to do, is I remember when I listened to Under a Funeral Moon by Dark Throne. I also, the previous record, I really enjoy it, Blazed on Northern Sky, but when I listened Under a Funeral Moon and that voice and the first song with that blast beat, that was like the moment when I want to recreate this dark image that I had on my own terms. So that was a very, very strong influence. That moment when this album starts, it's like you're struck something. For me, it was. I listened to black metal before, but I really enjoyed the first 2 Samael albums, for example. I was fortunate enough to have from my relative from Czech Republic, Master Hammer first demos, so I already knew a little bit about, but yeah, that was the moment, I think. And then I bought, I remember also In the Night Side Eclipse by Emperor, and so when we first started to develop the first songs, was the mix, like the rawness that Darkthrone had with those keyboards and atmospheric part that Emperor had. So this was the first main influence that I had.
Alright, so this was in the early to mid 90s. How old were you around that time?
14, 15. Yeah,
Alright.
like that.
And how old were you when you had your first release?
16. In 96 we released the first official demo. It was a promo that we started
with Argos, right?
Yeah, with Argos. We started sending them to different fanzines, local shops in Timișoara, and in 97 we released the official demo, the first demo of Argos, so with cover and everything, and it was released by a local guy in Timișoara that didn't even have a label. Just helped me out with distribution and things like that. They were very, very underground, color pro-printed tapes and things like that. It was quite nice. Quite nice.
And a lot of this early Argos stuff was then compiled into the Obscure and the Turn?
Nope. For Obscure and Etern, we just had new songs.
am I misremembering? I think it was another album
Yeah.
that compiled a lot of early stuff.
Yes, the third demo we just had this kind of songs that we were trying, and then from that third demo that was not even officially released, only sent to some friends. There were on the first album there were like 3 or 4 songs we but then on the second album, Solitar and Straniu, there were redone 2 songs from the demo. So we tend to
recycle and give them new life.
Maybe return to those time when we were, because the songs were not changed that much. Only we wanted to redo them like in that period of time we were recording. Nothing special.
All right.
Just felt that.
So this was in regards to Argus, and Argus, what later became Argus Megere.
Exactly.
But you have started a lot of projects. We're not going to go through all of them one by one, but when did you decide, okay, I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this? What was that period like?
In the early 90s and mid 90s, just meeting with friends, and was like, yeah, let's, we were doing new songs, we were trying some things, and then let's start a new project. It was very easy. We didn't thought compiling them into one bigger project, because I tend to it was a small scene, but very dedicated, and we were interacting with one another. It's this joke that there are 30 bands in Timișoara and only 10 people, so
it was quite an incestuous scene.
Yeah. Then we were just combining each other and doing a project, and maybe one demo or something, not following too much. We didn't. We wanted to express ourselves. That was it. We didn't have a goal to, I don't know, release this and then hopefully some nuclear blast record company will knock on our rehearsal door and sign a multi-million-dollar contract.
Music for your sake.
Yeah. The recordings were done for us, basically. And we were sending to friends, and then okay, let's release it because there are other interested people. And we were also in the tape trading in the 90s, and we needed somehow to have our own material in order to be able to trade with other people, and people from Poland especially, but Eastern Europe, Hungary, Czech Republic, then Germany, then South America, even States. We were just making this and find out about bands, like we had different magazines. We just saw an address and sent them like, hey, this is my band, you want to trade? This is how you were receiving new music and you're discovering new bands.
Yeah, it's a lost art nowadays.
It was not pre-internet days. So.
Yeah. Before you just mail out a Bandcamp link.
Exactly. So that was the.
And what was the local scene like in the 90s?
Quite active. As I said, there were not many people, but they were very enthusiastic about it. We wanted to express ourselves. Of course, and this also was something very nice because we didn't have too much equipment that we have nowadays, and we are very fortunate to have it. And we were just having, there were concerts with one amp, one drive pedal, and one guitar. The best guitar was like on the stage, and everyone played it. Because we didn't have too much equipment. Mainly Romanian brands, or I don't know, Eastern European brands. From Czech Republic, for example, there were some guitars that were very bad. So whenever we had a friend that received from the Western country, from Germany, from some nice grandmother that went there in the 70s, we were very lucky and fortunate, and everyone played that instrument, because it was very hard to get. I remember they were quite expensive. imagine that there were like maybe 10 times the salary that my parents had, so we couldn't. We were just looking in German magazines, like there were Charvel, Kramer, Jackson, Aria, Hochner guitars, but they were very expensive. I mean, we just dreamt that maybe one day, it's not like today when you enter online and for whatever 300 euro you receive a really decent guitar to just play at home at least. In that days we were just having Romanian branded guitars and everything was but we didn't care. We were happy that we made sounds. And we organized ourselves concerts. We were traveling to nearby cities, especially in Arad. There were a very famous club, Rock Only, and there were a lot of concerts there in my youth. I mean, we were just taking the train. It was 1 hour, like from one part of Timișoara to the other. Nowadays, just like we took train, we went to the concerts, and then came back, and it was very simple. So yeah. We were traveling a lot to nearby cities to see concerts with Romanian bands. A Romanian band, maybe in that time, were like 200 to 300 persons were playing. I mean, when Grime got played in Arad, there were massive crowds, for example. Or, I don't know, Macrotomia, the local Timișoara band, or then Vican Rede, what Negură Bunget was afterwards, and there are also a lot of bands that are not anymore.
I wouldn't have expected that they were that popular at the time. It felt more like a very small scene, and the people who also go to concerts were also not as big of a crowd. So this was a larger thing.
It was because we didn't have anything else. We just had that concerts and that's it. We were traveling. I remember we found out a guy that had a VHS tape in another city that I for example was very fan of Operation Mindcrime and Operation Life Crime from Queensryche, and I found out that there is a guy in another city that has this VHS, and we just sent him a letter, and like on Saturday, can we come to watch the tape in your house? We bring beers. So that dedicated we were. We just traveled to make tape trading and things like that and see concerts. That was the only way to acquire music, and we were passionate about it, and this is what we had. No television that much, no internet, no nothing, so only through direct socializing between people that were very
passionate about it. All right. Did you remain in Timișoara up until now, or did you have periods where you left the city?
No, I live in the same neighborhood I was born, only maybe 2 streets away from where my parents live.
The truest Timișoaran.
Yeah, I lived for maybe 1.5 years in another part, but then of the city. But then it somehow I got very used to this environment. I had a lot of friends here. I didn't felt the need to go. Also, job-wise, I always had good jobs. I worked for about 20 years now in a corporate sector, and it was okay. In Timișoara there were a lot of jobs anyway, good paid, so I didn't felt the need to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I do remember at my old company finding out that my manager was also part of your band.
Yeah, I remember you told me, nice.
Right. And I reckon that a lot of people who are part of these corporates are also part of some bands in Timișoara. It's not very unusual, let's say.
But also in the academical field, there are some friends also. So.
Right. So then, if you have lived here the entire time, then you can trace the evolution of how the scene has evolved and how both for musicians and for concert goers. Because I remember at some point it really felt like there were huge concerts happening in Timișoara. You had Behemoth coming here back when DAOS was the mecca of
Yeah.
of metal in Timișoara, and then there was a period where everything was failing.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky and fortunate enough because my bandmate from Argus, Agerul Pământului, was the owner of DAOS together with another friend. So basically, I was in the middle of this evolution from the beginning of 2008 or 9, I don't remember exactly. Until then, we had some clubs. We had Metal Box, which was also by Marius, who was associate of Ageru in DAOS. Before that, they were okay. Like for that time, Metal Box and some other small clubs were okay.
What was the largest concert that happened like before 2008?
There were two, if I remember correctly. One Ancient came, the Norwegian black metal band, in a sports hall, and then in the youth hall 2 or 3 weeks later. Primordial from Ireland played, so those two concerts were, let's say, the biggest one that I remember in the beginning of the 2000s. Unfortunately, because I know who organized, the trigger was to organize those two concerts and to raise enough money for the third one, which was Satyricon. And unfortunately, the second one didn't went that well. Okay. So they lost a lot of money, okay. And then we remained with the memory of those two concerts. But in the first Ancient, I remember there were a lot of people from another cities in Romania that came to this concert. So it was a huge crowd. And then in Metal Box there were some small concerts like Ancient Rites, for example. I remember. I think also Rotting Christ played there. So. And Moonspell, how can I forget? Also Moonspell played with Rotting Christ, somewhere 2006 or so. Maybe this is the biggest concert, I think, pre-DAOS days. But then when they did DAOS, we had like for almost 10 years a proper venue that we had the chance to experience a lot of people, but also the local scene in Timișoara had a real
resurgence,
proper stage where we could play. It was very easy. We just talked with those two guys, and they supported also the local scene because they understood that without the local scene there will be no club. Unfortunately. After Collective, the fire in Bucharest, the unfortunate event, there were some legal changes that also affected DAOS. They had to invest a lot of money in new exits, new smoke system and things like that were very, very expensive. So they
didn't receive any help from the government.
No one. And that's when they closed the big hall because they couldn't afford.
Yes, I remember, and it was then changed to Capcana.
Yeah, before Capcana it was a small time when they only went into the first one, the small room. Then they sold to Capcana, but then like many areas in Timișoara, they are transformed into residential areas. So yeah, it was sold, demolished, and now they're a block of flats.
Yeah.
There. So after that, yes, it was a time.
Reflector also became bankrupt.
Reflector had it was a very nice club. It was a very nice club, but unfortunately, in an area that didn't attract that much people. Myself, even if it's in the other part of the city, from where I live, I didn't see this as a problem. This is also in other. I mean, I go to Budapest to see concerts, and there are in like Barba Negra is in one place, 833 is in other place, and you just go there if you want to see the bands. So that it's also in Timișoara. Why it's a problem? Because it's a little bit far away or further from the center of the city. But didn't go too well that club, even it was very nice, and there were a lot of nice concerts. I remember Motorcycle, Norwegian Shining played there. A lot of concerts. We also did
The Ocean played there.
The Ocean, yes. We also in 2019 we made in the beginning of the year we made a very nice concert, and we filmed also video there when we were launching in Timișoara Faustian Nights, our last album by now. I'm very sorry that this club didn't went well, because it was very, very nice. Also the sound was very good. You had a very high projector, and the toilets were okay. So you had a proper backstage with nice catering all the time, because I played several times there. Nice people, but unfortunately I didn't think they had the knowledge how to run. And one of the main problems that I saw over the years in Davos, in Reflector, in other clubs in Romania, they don't have a booking agent, and this is a problem. They do not know how to book concerts, to do a plan. Just also in Davos, if a band write it, okay, it was booked, and then no direction. In Reflector it was even worse, like there were some bands, the owner didn't know that much the scene, and they were like an unknown band, asked a lot of money, and the owner said, yeah, okay, you can play, and then it went bankrupt. So you need, and in Romania this is a problem, you need to invest in a booking agent, an event planner that organize the whole schedule. When you have concerts, you also have to throw parties. Yes, you have, because not also this is in the western part, they just organize also parties, other events, so to be more diverse and mixed, because after the pandemic times, this is how I feel, that there was an explosions of concerts, and people are getting tired already. I mean, in Bucharest, I know there are concerts every day. Like,
how many concerts can you go to?
Yeah, even if you like to support and you want to go, in the end, it's a little bit too much. Nowadays we have, I don't know, 3 or 4 clubs now in Timișoara.
And I'm not sure if any of them could host like Behemoth or The Ocean.
So there are smaller clubs, M2 I think it's the biggest one, or even where we played in Escape, maybe it's bigger. But Escape is not a metal club or rock club, it's more on other profile, but I like it very much because the sound is very good there. You can make a lot of visuals on 2 walls, so you can create a very nice effect. The owner is very nice, again, it's in a bit remote area.
It's hard to reach unless you know how to.
Yes, this is I think the problem, but other than that I think it has the potential to become or to be a very nice event. And also M2, I think it's in the center of the city. Hopefully it will last, and but it's around, I don't know, 200-300 people maximum. For a club, for a regular metal band, it's okay, but to do more than that, I don't think we have a venue in Timișoara. I don't know, even if you book Enslaved or Behemoth, it's another league, but maybe, Enslaved or Satyricon or whatever.
You just don't know where you could.
No. Even in sports hall, which is horrible. It's not. It's not something that you could do it, I think.
Yeah, the best you could do is get them at a festival.
In Timișoara, we tried to do some festivals in the past. I think the start was good, the follow-up was bad. The first edition of Revolution was very good. Then I think they changed a little bit the approach, like more money, less quality, and then failed.
And now nobody knows about it.
There were some small other festivals even this year. Hopefully they will grow, but
I think none of them are metal. they had some metal bands. I
Yeah.
saw Anat, Kodru, I saw,
yeah.
but
Not
I-
a dedicated one.
they're not dedicated metal, and they're ones that are. I think they have funding from the official.
Yes, this is again something that is not very wise on the long term. To do
Mhm.
it.
Yes, I think a lot of them might be getting funding because it was the capital of culture thing,
Could be.
and there were a lot of concerts in Timișoara specifically because of it.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it a lot, even though most of them were free.
Yes. My only complaint is that we didn't have some big acts, especially in the beginning of the concerts, and also closing was somehow okay-ish. Not my type, but yeah. But the opening concert of the Capital of Culture was horrible.
Which one was it? Was it
With that taraf, whatever.
Oh yeah! Oh, I actually loved that a lot.
It was
Yeah,
horrible.
it was definitely not for you.
We were expecting a little bit more. I mean, in Sibiu, for example, I don't know, played Scorpions or whatever. Just bring some well-known artist.
The jazz festival was amazing.
The
too.
jazz was amazing. Yes, I also attended every day and was very nice.
Yeah, this is one festival in Timișoara that's has been quality even before it.
This is the idea. I don't think it's I don't know the. We don't have to maybe thank to the Capital of Culture because also before that there are some persons that organize that they really know what they are doing. Very professional and very. They have a really jazz culture, and every year there were like very nice artists, big artists, and you could see a lot of good concerts.
All right. Let's go back to your music for a bit because for a long time you started all these projects and then you concentrated mostly on Argus Megere, which released their last album in 2016, and since then a lot of the other projects that you've started have had a resurgence and a rebranding, like Katharos XIII, which started out as a more depressive black metal band, now it's something completely different. And year by year I find that there's another one of Fulmineos' projects that is getting a rebranding, which the most recent one I think was Cursed Cemetery.
Yeah, it started in the pandemic times when a friend of mine, Daniel Neagoe, who is well known for Clouds and other Doom project that he has, just let's do something. I'm closed in a house. I'm bored. We didn't. We were playing before that in a band called Fogland in 2000
years ago.
Yeah. I didn't want to redo that project anymore because I feel that I'm very far away from that time. I really appreciate what we have done, two very good albums, but after that I was just simply somewhere else, and we tried for a couple of times to redo it. I didn't enjoy it, and then he just stayed for some years in London, in UK, and when he got back, we just reconnected, and we said like one day we will play. We just met here for a couple of times just to jam. When he's in town, he's living in another town in Romania. But comes maybe one time a month or so in Timișoara, so we met quite often. And we just like, let's do something. And I said, I have some ideas. I just arranged them, send it to him, and he drummed, recorded the drums in his home apartment actually. And then he sent me back, and I said, yeah, it's nice, let's do it a project. And I explained the concept, and I said I'm thinking, like Cursed Cemetery is something that I felt it was at one point, let's say, interrupted from the sequel, and I want to redo it again, and he was really okay with it because it's about the cemetery is seen as a center of passing through from one life to the other. So that's why it was a project started as a death black metal in 90s. Then it was maybe drone-ish, maybe black metal, very extreme, experimental, like abruptum and things like that, very noise. Then we made an album with some friends in a mountain cabin that is krautrock, basically. So we experienced a lot through this gate, and this is also what I felt now. So, again, we will pass through the gate, but in another format. And when I wanted to assemble all the things from the past into those 3 songs that became a Forbidden Epitaph and that we released last year. Ambient, drone, black metal, doom, everything was mixed together in that album to say, this is the past, it's comprised in one album, and now we will move forward. We just, like last week, we received the final master of the new album that will be released next year, also through our Italian Dusktone Records. So nowadays we are working to the design, and it's, dare I say, something else, but also in the same doomish kind of ritual thing. So this is the story, basically how we ended up again, and also he really wants to pursue me to play live with the project. I resisted a little bit, but I think with this new album, I think we will do it.
Alright. Hopefully in Timișoara.
It's
easiest in Timișoara, of course you'll play here.
Yeah, we just have to find a drummer because he cannot play also vocals and drumming in the same time. I mean, he can play, but
it won't be the full experience.
No, it's not something nice.
Okay. Well, I think there are at least 2 drummers in Timișoara and they play in 10 bands.
Yes, I also play with one. So yeah, I play with Putrid in Ordinul Negru. So, and actually Putrid recorded the drums for the new Katharos Cemetery album.
There's your solution.
Yeah. Yes, but he's also a very busy man. So
he's a drummer in Timișoara. Of course, he's busy.
Yeah, he's the drummer in Timișoara in the extreme metal projects, but also other drummers with whom I collaborate, they are also busy. For example, in Kultika I have Sergiu Deban from Arad. Mm-hmm. He also is a very busy man, plays in some metal bands, in some pop rock bands. Actually he's doing this as a living, so yeah, he's a session drummer in many projects, this is what he's doing. So again, a busy man, like all the time when I play with some drummer, he has many projects.
Such a drummer in small scenes.
Yeah.
All right. And one thing that I said I noticed is that a lot of these started out as black metal at the ascent, and they evolved into something different. Kultika is no longer black metal.
Yeah.
Katharos is no longer black metal, and Katharos Cemetery also no longer black metal.
Funny enough, for me, there is a form of black metal, Maybe Katharos Cemetery with the new album will be a little bit further away, but for example in Katharos or Kultika, for me it is a sort of black metal, especially in Katharos. The lyric, the atmosphere, it is, but it's further away from the normal traditional.
It is non-black metal music made by somebody who does black metal.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Yeah.
But it's still quite an interesting evolution to trace, because you're at the center of it all. So the man of 13 projects. Yeah,
Katharos just evolved. It's a cliche, but naturally, because of the environment. Simply, we would just, after 2 albums of depressive black metal, we were.
You were no longer depressed.
Maybe, Yeah, I got married. So yeah, no, the idea is because why I made this joke when I composed Palindrome. Actually, it was my wife's idea to go in that place that really inspired me in composing that album. So she really has a very big input in the concept. And also Palindrome was his idea as a name, so that's nice. But after 2 albums, really, we were somehow not tired of what we were, but we were going, let's say, nowhere. We just started again to do some new songs that were in the same vein, and said like, okay, those songs are not very different from the ones we just recorded. So I'm not AC/DC, I don't like to release the same idea over and over again, so that's why we said, okay, we just take a pause, let's have a break. And there were some personal also problems for some of the members, unfortunately, not with the band somehow related, but with their own lives. And unfortunately, 2 of them, the other guitar player and the bass player, just simply couldn't continue with us. So I remained with the drummer and with Sabat, and we just worked to this album, the 2 of us. And we started recording Palindrome, and in the studio, Attila Lukinic, who was our producer for this record, just recommended Manuela Marchiș, the vocalist, because I said, I need a little bit something else, more melodic, more atmospheric, opposed to what I was singing. And it's like, why don't you try her? And just simple. It's something else, it's something like from the other dimension, because I already discussed with Alex Jovan, and I was just experimenting with saxophone, and he was already in the studio for some sessions, and we said like, okay, these 2 will blend very well. So it was not a conscious decision, it was something that happened in the evolution of the recording. We had the bass, the core of the songs, like guitars, keyboards and drums, and they added, and they just simply took those songs to other dimension. Oddly enough, the bass guitar was the last thing recorded for the album, because Peter was the last added member in that formula. And then on the last album, we just this 5 formula we just took to another level what we achieved on Palindrome, because we already knew each other. Yeah, it's more experimental, I know, and the people as a feedback told me that Chtonian Transmission maybe it's a little bit hard to listen, because we didn't have any boundaries. We just said, these are the songs, do whatever you like. It's black metal, it's psychedelia, it's drone, it's jazz, it's whatever. Just no boundaries. Yeah. So now we are just finished the pre-production of the next album, and we were more organized. As a learning curve, we said like, okay, lesson learned from the last one. We would tend to skip the long experiments into something more comprehensive, maybe for ourselves. I don't care if the listeners thought that our last album is hard to listen. We don't care. We just did what we felt. This is because over the years,
it's still music for yourselves.
Yeah, it's still. What do I have to gain? Only personal pleasure and the joy to do this with some friends, to exchange musical ideas, to learn new things, to travel somewhere else mentally, like when you're working for the album. And if someone listens the album and enjoys, for us it's a plus, and it's something okay as a bonus, but we don't seek for it. We just I'm in through my 30 years of playing music, and I never saw this as way of earning money or to live
Oh, you're a metal musician, of course. You're not earning money.
Yeah, I could. I was in a band and in a situation 10 years ago when I played in many big festivals and tours and things like that, and I saw the music industry and I said, okay, nice, but I don't like it. I don't like the pressure to have to release. I release whenever I felt. That's why, for example, there are projects that I started, played for some years, then just okay, I don't feel like it, buried for 3 or 4 or 10 years, and then okay, return because now I have a new idea for this path. I don't want to have this pressure to release the album every 2 or 3 years because you have to, and then to tour. It's very stressful. I like to have my own private,
you want to do music on your own terms.
Yes, and I want to have my own rituals like time to read books, watch movies, travel, stay at home with my cat and wife, things like that. So I don't want to travel as a musician.
Yeah, whenever I have asked musicians that were touring, what did you see when you were there? They barely get.
No, in many cases you just see highways, airports, and venues, and maybe if you are lucky, I don't know, especially in Western Europe, the center of the city where is a Gothic cathedral and a square, and let's go back because
if you have half an hour.
Let's go back because Curfew, we have to do sound checks
and then you have to sleep 4 hours before you leave.
Load in, load out. I don't know. Eat lousy food, pizza in every venue. This is very funny because I remember it was a tour like every day we just received as a catering. It's the most convenient, I know. I've traveled enough to learn this, but
there's only so much pizza you can.
At one point we just telling our tour manager, we just tell them if they don't want to give us something else, we just don't buy it because we will just buy ourselves some food and that's it.
Right. So because this is probably stretching out too long, I have one last topic that I want to get into because you also had your own label at some point. When was this exactly?
96, 97, I think I began with trading.
Yeah, so it was still in the very, very early days. You barely released the first things with Argus. So how did it start, how did it go, and how did it end?
It started as a need to be in the tape trading thing. I wanted to have as much as I can contact with other labels, distributions and things like that to send my stuff to receive and to listen to new music. But at one point it was too much. It was again something that I've learned over the years, and I just after 2000s I just ended because it was too much. I have to play, I have to record, I have to do the concerts, booking, then to have the label. It was too much to take care of. I was not maybe prepared and experienced to do it on a higher level. And honestly, I already received other offers from other labels that wanted to release my music, and I thought it's more convenient to do it so that I can concentrate on my own stuff, like playing music. This is the only reason. I enjoyed when it was with the tape trading, but after than that, I thought it's a burden.
It was just stress.
Yeah, it was just stress to go to the post office all the time, see for orders. And it was not for me.
Yeah, all right. So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you for your interest in my projects, and No. Thanks.